There are a couple of really big misconceptions that govern most people who want to get into business and have some kind of financial freedom, or they want to get into business to change their lives and the lives of their families. But it was the accumulation of that knowledge that prepared my brain and my mind and my spirit for success. So if you want to actually accumulate wealth, one of the first big mindset shifts you have to have is, am I truly maximizing potential, or am I settling for less than I can achieve? What specific change do I need to catapult my business to its first million? How can I accelerate my growth without compromising my values and my vision? Is my current strategy bold enough to achieve rapid revolution in my business? What if I'm missing a key opportunity that could be my breakthrough moment? Am I taking enough risks, or am I playing it too safe to see real success? What's the common thread that you see those words bring about in you? When you figure that one thing out, it's going to be fast and it's going to catapult you to have rapid success in your business. You're going to have your breakthrough moment and all of that. And the first issue that I would take, even with the questions, it talks about most people's mindset, is centered around this idea that the success is rapid and there's one thing I can do and there's just one thing that's the barrier and it's going to be overnight and all this stuff. And it is not. Success is not like that. And by the way, if it is like that, you will lose it all. Look at the lottery winners. People who win the lottery, they win $1 million to $2 million to $5 million to $10 million, however much money you win overnight. Rapid catapulted success of the lottery. They lose it all every time. So the question is not, what's my one thing I need to do differently, or what's my breakthrough moment, or I got to get my chance. I love the Eminem song in 8 Mile. It's like sometimes you get one shot, one opportunity. It's not true. The path to true wealth, it's a long journey. And just because some people make that long journey faster than you may, doesn't necessarily mean that it should be fast. For example, in my life now, I'm 52, people look back, I didn't make my first million until I was 39 or 40. And then I doubled and doubled and doubled after that. The first million is the hardest. Yes, that's absolutely true. But there's a reason for that, because if you're process oriented, you say, what do I need to do to become this person? Then you have sustainable wealth accumulation. And then you also learn the principles of business that allow you to replicate it. And so a common misperception among most people in the population generally, and in particular young people who are very ambitious, you have a lot of energy, ambition, hormones, all those things. You're thinking, I'm gonna dominate my market. I'm gonna be cannonball of success. No, you're gonna spend a lot of energy doing useless stuff and waste a lot of time and a lot of that energy. And you're gonna not be patient enough to make sure and execute your plans properly. And your ambition will take over your rationale and your reasoning and your thought processes, and you'll spin your wheels an awful lot until you learn to balance those things. And so there, as I say, when I talk to people about success, especially if somebody's not made the first million, it's always the same thing. It's this idea that there's either one single barrier that's holding you back, or that there's a path to rapid and almost overnight success. And then we get into the opposite of that, which is Steve Jobs, which was Apple was an overnight success that took 30 years or 20 years. And I believe that the people who I see who have achieved a level of success and sustain it are all of that school of thought where this is an overnight success that took me 20 years. I've been practicing law for 25 years. I've been an entrepreneur all my life. There was a point in my life where I'd lost more money than I'd made. I'd lost millions of dollars, literally. But then I come to a point where I finally align everything, and you begin to see the patterns of success and where I squandered my energy, my opportunity. And so the first big mindset shift that has to happen if you want to actually accumulate wealth is it's not going to happen fast. However, you will wake up one morning and you'll say, wow, that was fast, when you finally achieve the success. So it's a bit of a paradox where it's not going to happen fast. You've got a lot of work to do. You've got to overcome a lot of barriers and things. But then when it finally arrives, it will be faster than you realized. You're going to wake up one morning and realize you are successful. And you wake up and when you're really successful, you can wake up in the morning and actually not know how much you're worth. You have people to tell you that. You have your accountant tells you how much you're worth, quote unquote. Because it's not about how much money you have in the bank. It's what you're producing and what your business is worth and how much service you're providing and all those things, which I'll talk about another time. The truth is that there's this idea, I think, among young people, and I made the same mistake, so I'm not judging. If you could just align a couple things, success will come super quick. And that is a misperception based on, I think, some of our culture, which seems to celebrate people who become successful very quickly, but we don't realize all of the stuff that goes into that. And so I think it's really important that we stay focused on keeping our mindset straight about success and how fast real success comes. People get confused with strategies and tactics instead of thinking, what is a business? What really is a business? There are a couple of really big misconceptions that govern most people who want to get into business and have some kind of financial freedom or something. They want to get into business to change their lives and the lives of their families. The first big misconception is there's really one thing that's holding somebody back. It could be access to capital. It could be a mailing list. It could be a product or service they're not providing. So that there's one key thing, that I didn't take enough classes, or I didn't do enough of this, or study enough, or I don't have the right people to joint venture with, and all this. And there's a million excuses. And I had some of those too when I was younger. Then there's the total opposite of that, which is I'm not somebody who can do this. I could never do that. Success is not for me. And so there's really two different things you need to address with that. The people who have the mindset of the success is not for me, or I could never do that. That's absolutely not true. We all can do this. Anyone can do this, which leads me into my next point, which is addressing the first point I talked about, which is, yeah, we can all do this, but all of us have something really hard to overcome, or 10 really hard things, or 100 really hard things to overcome. And the point isn't that there's one thing holding you back. This is the idea, because people get charged for success. And so they go to workshop after workshop. And I did this too. And I've read over 1,000 books. When I tell you 1,000 books, and I've been to dozens, if not hundreds of workshops. And no one of those things taught me the one thing I needed to know about success. But it was the accumulation of that knowledge that prepared my brain and my mind and my spirit for success. So then you ask, what is a business, Greg, then? What's a business? How do I become successful? And I come back to the very basic. To have sustainable success, it's a mindset change first. You have to believe that you're the person who will create the success. And for me, that creates a relationship with my creator, God. That's the most important thing to me. And then the key to a successful business is providing a valuable service. The more valuable service you can provide, the more compensation you will receive. So if you're not getting paid for your work, either your clients or customers are not valuing you enough, or maybe you're not valuing yourself enough and demanding the price that you should demand for your services. Now, there's a lot of little ticky-tack shots that people could take at that statement, but I stand by it. When you say what services some influencer providing, that's entertainment, and that's very valuable. But people confuse entertainment with education. And so they'll go and they'll follow what somebody working for somebody else on Instagram to make $1 million a year, $2 million a year, $5 million a year, and saying, okay, that's what I want to do. I want to be an influencer. You're not really providing a lot of value as an influencer beyond entertainment. And again, it's okay to get paid for entertainment. Athletes get paid for entertainment. Athletes are not paid because of their physical prowess, but their physical prowess allows them to participate in an activity that will get them paid by entertaining people. You're not paid because you can run fast. You're paid because you can run fast and carry a football at a very key moment and entertain the crowd. That's why you get paid. You're providing a service, entertainment. Don't confuse the services. You wouldn't go to a football game to try and learn how to have a successful business. So you shouldn't watch an Instagram influencer who the only time they've ever been successful is influencing to think about what are the key business success points. Now, you may follow them to find out how to get a bigger Instagram following. That may be true, but what service are you really providing? And so for me, what I do in my law firm is we provide car accident services. We help people navigate the process of when they've been injured in a car accident. And we scaled that. And it started very small, where we had 1, 2, 3, 5 clients a month, and now we have 500 clients a month. And it's a process. And there were 100 steps along the way to figure out how to do that. But the service we provide is professional service as a lawyer. But you can do this in any industry. As a young person who's starting out in business, the first belief you're going to have to overcome or get rid of is this idea that if you are the best provider of a service, you're the best, that you're going to naturally be successful. And that's false, because there are other pieces that do need to align with that. And the other thing is, and there's so many issues that are tied up with this that I see for young business people, and I had them too, I know, I lived through this firsthand. But you'll believe you can get in, and as long as you provide a good quality product, people will pay you for that good quality product, and you will naturally rise to the top of the market. It's this idea that the free market is efficient. It is not, because what happens is people will pay what they perceive the value is. And part of the perception of their value is whether you perceive your value. So when you go in as an interior designer, for example, let's say you have an interior design firm and you're the best interior decorator in the world. But if you don't believe that you are, and you don't say to the client, my fee is $50,000 and I take it all up front, your business will fail. And the problem is somebody who's an interior designer doesn't look at, if you have the skill set to be an interior designer, you don't necessarily have the skill set of how to be an entrepreneur. And so let's say that interior designer would talk to me and I would say, okay, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm a businessman, you're the artist, we want to do a joint venture together. You show the package, I go and I quote the price. It's $100,000. You're going to tell me, Greg, they'll never pay $100,000. Yeah, but somebody will. And once the first person does, then you're going to start networking yourself into a group of people who then can pay $100,000. But you better deliver, because when you want to provide a $100,000 service, those people are going to demand excellence. I quote the price, I get the price, I collect on the price. We do some marketing, word of mouth marketing in that group. But you as the interior decorator, you just assume because you're really good and you love your work, that the market is naturally going to compensate you for that. It's not true. There are different pieces of business. One is the technical, providing the service or whatever it is, the work. There's the business side of it. There's the entrepreneurial side of it. There's the structure side of it, where how do we get more clients? How do we structure these jobs? How do we raise our prices? Are we getting a return on our investment? Let's say you have a $100,000 job, but you put in $200,000 of work to that job. You've lost money. If you're what we call an artist, right, you don't care, you do the work. As an entrepreneur, I got to say, you got to have a $50,000 profit margin in that job. What's the margin? Oh, I'm going to do this job as a one-off. No, you get paid for your work. I do this job as a one-off for advertising. No, you don't. That's your job. If you need to do it as a one-off, it's a flawed business model. And you need somebody to hold you accountable, and you'll fight. When I started off my career, I would handle business breakups as a lawyer. And this is what happens most often. You have somebody who's a service provider, and then you have the entrepreneur. And the entrepreneur will say, we want more money from this. And the service provider will say, I'm an artist. I want to do this work no matter what. And there'll be fights over pricing. And so the business will go out of business. It'll just go under because the person who's the artist wants to do the work. And they're not understanding that you have to believe your own value too. So getting paid for it is partly what you believe your own value is.